Hi, my name is Laura Vehinger, and I'm going to be doing a leadership book review, and this is for class N5343, Leadership in Complex Healthcare Systems. So the book that I have chosen is Fierce Leadership, and this is by Susan Scott. So who is Susan Scott? She's a renowned leadership development architect, and she lives by the motto that while no single conversation is guaranteed to change the trajectory of a career, business, or life, any conversation can. She is a best-selling author and a Fortune 100 public speaker. She wrote Fierce Conversations and Fierce Leadership, both of which are Wall Street Journal bestsellers. She has led think tanks for CEOs for over about 13 years. And that has all helped to create her company Fierce, which is in the bottom corner here. And Fierce was developed in 2001. That is a leadership development training website, and she works with people basically all over the world. In 2008, she won a Stevie Award for Entrepreneur of the Year, and this is actually a top honor for workplace achievements. And now what she does essentially is she travels the world, she delivers keynote speeches, and she's still working on developing future and current leaders. So what is the purpose of the book? Mainly is to encourage leaders to take that different, less cookie cutter, more direct approach to leading. She advocates for having deep, difficult, just transparent, vulnerable conversations with staff members. The whole book just kind of reiterates the fact that the better relationship you have with not only your staff, but with other clientele, the better your company actually is going to do. So that's kind of the purpose of the book. She also spots practices that might be holding you back from achieving these goals, and then different ways you can actually go about achieving the goal in a better way. And then just to give you information about the book, each chapter is essentially going to be a different fierce practice for leaders. And so she gives a lot of examples throughout the chapters of different ways that you can improve yourself. And she gives a lot of examples of personal experiences that she's had that has kind of helped her to develop these different examples. So there's going to be two main players in her target audience. The main is going to be managers or leaders who are trying to break free of that traditional workplace that's just kind of been developed over the years. And the other is going to be open-minded leaders. There's a lot of stuff that she brings up in this book that are concepts you haven't heard of, but they're also, some of them are a little more obscure. And so you really have to have that open mind for her book in order to kind of take everything in and really just see if this is going to work for you. So what are some strengths of this book? One is going to be squid eye, and that's actually areas that she's identified as traps in her different chapters. And so she wants you to be aware of these traps so that you can avoid those in your future and then learn how to deal with them properly. She promotes effective, honest communication, pushes for those tough conversations. She wants open, year-round feedback, both positive and negative, just so you can, in real time, encourage your staff members to either improve on things or keep going with anything that they're doing that's great. She focuses on building trust with the staff, and that involves emotional intelligence and building that empathy in relationships, having those tough conversations, those personal conversations. And then all this is essentially going to lead to better productivity and better retention in the workplace. And lastly, for strengths, her advice is applicable to all leaders. You may not want to do what she says, but you are capable of doing it. For companies, this requires no increase in funding. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. It's more about personal growth and maturity. And her advice can really be used in any line of work. You can use it as a top CEO of a company, Fortune 500 company, or you can use it as a coach, coaching football. Any of this advice works for everybody. So those are going to be her biggest strengths of the book. Now we'll discuss some weaknesses. Miss Scott, so she talks a lot about personal experiences in the book, and she doesn't talk as much about research. And so if you're more of a research-based person with wanting to make changes, this is probably not going to be the best book for you. Another thing is that her advice is geared more towards a stronger leader. You need to have that confidence to have these more vulnerable conversations If you don't have that confidence, this is going to be a lot more of a struggle for you. She also focuses on really, you've got to have that strong emotional intelligence. You've got to have really good communication skills, really good interpersonal skills. And then lastly, for weaknesses, her advice on changes, they're going to take time. Culture change takes time. Doing like constant feedback is going to take time. One thing she mentioned was hiring based off of emotional intelligence, not a resume. That's also going to take time to adjust. So I'm going to talk really quickly about the author's objectives and then a couple examples of each. Challenging traditional leadership practices. She encourages leaders to get rid of superficial employee surveys, stop promoting ineffective performance reviews, and hiring more off emotional intelligence than just a resume. Build trust-based relationships. Have those vulnerable conversations. She encourages transparency. Don't lie to your staff members. Keep yourself basically like an open book on what you can for your management. Encouraging personal responsibility. Don't play the victim. Own up to your mistakes. The only person that you can hold accountable is going to be yourself. Preparing leaders with practical tools of communication. She discusses the importance of debriefing after a meeting, praise with courage and skill, and employee engagement is an emotional issue. Lastly, promoting authentic conversations. Don't just talk with clients, really engage about their company's goals and strategies. And conversation basically is either going to be a relationship maker or a relationship breaker for her. Did she achieve these objectives in the book? Yes, she absolutely did. And next I'm going to talk about book recommendation. I 100% recommend this book. I would say it's for anybody who's in charge or maybe in charge of others in the future. It can benefit staff workers as well, just so they can get an idea of what a better work environment should be. And under the circumstances, I would say this is mainly, like we've said before, for leaders that realize they need a change in their work environment and an increase in workplace communication. And I recommend reading her book, Fierce Conversations, first. That has a lot of really good information that would be helpful when you're reading Fierce Leadership. So that would be kind of my number one recommendation for her. And then I'm available for any questions. Thank you very much.